What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Colgar Minecraft. And in this one, I want to show you guys something a little bit special to me. Now, I started playing Minecraft exactly a year ago, and I wanted to show off kind of how my building has evolved over time. So I'm going to show you my first world, where I was doing a Viking village, show you my first builds and things, which I thought was actually better than you know, a lot of people when they first start. I've seen a lot of friends start, and their buildings were hot garbage. And then I want to show you guys my most recent build a year in, and kind of show you the differences in building. I know that they're not the same building style, but you'll still see textures and things like that added. So let's get into it. We'll go with my first world first. This is actually the first building that I ever created. Well, that's not true. We did a little, me and my buddy were first trying to find the right place for what I wanted to do with this whole Viking village. We were not starting in a spruce forest. We ended up finding one. So my first building was actually just like some tiny little hut, just in the middle of the woods. But when I'm talking about my first like real building, this is it. As you can tell, very basic, not a lot of texture. I feel like with the roof, I was probably doing better than a lot of people when they first started in terms of like, you know, outjutting a little bit with a little bit of, I don't know. I just felt like it was halfway as decent. Then when you go inside, I felt like my interior design wasn't the best, but it was kind of easy just to fill up this area with like a, fire pit and stuff. To be honest, this has kind of evolved over time. This wasn't exactly the first take of this, but I did end up, making this bedroom. Which I thought turned out okay. It's not terrible. And then my second building ever, I'm not gonna lie, I did get some inspiration on this in terms of how to do the roof. With these little top sections of the roof, but the entire inside and outside was just me experimenting. This was my second ever build. Was this building, and I thought it turned out pretty decent. Not exactly the best in terms of like space usage, but it wasn't terrible. My third ever build was a storehouse. That was pretty basic. I wasn't trying to do anything crazy with this, but this is kind of, the style of building that I would do. The braces for the support beams and then beams across. It was pretty basic. Then my next building, actually, I think this was my second ever building, was the farm. Now, I was actually really proud of this, and I still don't think that this is a bad build, all things considered. This was like, I think this was my second ever building, actually, because I remember I needed food, and I didn't make the other stuff before. So, like, I thought it actually didn't turn out that bad, especially for it being my second build, and I would still, another Viking server I actually used this as inspiration for my farm, so I actually don't think that it turned out all that terribly. I especially just kind of like the additions that I made. So, I had the wheat farm out there to, breed the animals, but then I added a bunch of little extra like hidden things. Like here's some hay bale storage for the animals. Then you can go up here. The idea was that I would kind of fill this out with more, and I ended up just not doing it. But that's pretty much like the style of most of my builds. I got a little bit crazy with this horse. This was probably, I was grinding this game when I was first playing. I was putting like 19 hours a day in, and so in reality, this horse I made probably a week or two in, but it was a lot of hours put in at that point. And I definitely had inspiration for this. I fixed the legs a little bit. The inspiration that I was using, the legs were kind of jacked up and stuff like that. Actually, this bear was complete from scratch. This is my little zoo. As you can see, builds are basic. Just straight roof, triangle roof. I did the support beams. It's pretty basic. Still kind of stayed that way over time. But then I had a buddy join the server, and he kind of gave me some ideas. This was his ship that he created, and I ended up creating this one. And I thought that this turned out pretty sweet. I was more excited about the front and back of the ship. I thought that my sail was a little garbage, but this was more this was a Viking server. It was supposed to be a Viking longship. I felt like this was more longshipy than. But his sails definitely better than mine. So that's pretty much the first server. So I want to show you guys that. Now we're gonna swap over to my most recent server. Okay, so this is my most recent server. So this is actually the build style that I was doing on this one was more of like an underground Dwarven city. The idea was that with the release of 1.18, you know, the big caverns underground, that I would want to do something like that. This is the entrance. Ideally, I would have found this big cavern with a mountain on top of it, but unfortunately, the mountain's over there. So I had to create my own entrance, and as you can see, there's actually texture to the building. You know, there's different lighting, and I feel like the top's more pronounced. It's just better. There's depth to it. It's not just a straight stone brick wall, which is probably what I've done in the past. So we go down to the actual city, and here we go. Boom. This is the main section of the Dwarven city. Now, as you can see, immediately things actually have texture. You know, it doesn't look just straight walls with, like, you know, your standard buildings. I have a lot of different things here. Like, I created this forge. As you can see, you know, there's a lot of different walls coming off of it. It's got a different look than just doing your standard stone brick, your standard stone bricks and stone brick stairs. And then you go over here, you actually have different lighting systems. You have like a lantern slash like wall, you know, thing that I did to light up for the plants. We have, you know, all of the different animal pens and things like that. And I did a lot more with stone walls, both for texturing, as you can see here. Got a little indentation in the wall, makes it add a little bit of depth, but also just kind of accenting all around. I started experimenting with the loom. I had never really used the loom before, and so this is like a little tavern. As you can see, this is a design that I got from someone on YouTube. Shout out to them. I don't remember who it was, but and I, you know, it kind of signifies the tavern. I have the different tables and things like that. I got the little kegs with the tripwire hooks as taps and things like that. So the interior design's gotten better, and then the texturing's got better. And then when you actually go to my house, you have, you know, a little bit more depth. As you can see, there's just more to it. It's not just this straight wall thing. I keep saying, you know, straight walls and your typical roofs, but that was the style that I used for so long. But as you get better over time, you can, you know, you can add that kind of stuff, and then you're able to experiment and try other stuff because you're not using the same building bricks. I don't want to brag, but I think this might be the best fireplace I've ever seen in Minecraft. And it's just stuff that you can do when you start experimenting. Just being able to just kind of have an eye for the design of things. And then you get to try other things with interior design. Something that I first started doing in this build was, you know what, I think the bookshelves, if you have them flush against the wall, they're not pronounced enough, but if you have them outside of the wall, they're too pronounced. So I just used a stone brick wall and it cut it in half. Now you just see a little bit of the, like, outside of the bookshelf, and it, you know, it's still there, it's still very noticeable, but it's not just straight off the wall. And then something else that I really like, or I really started doing in this build specifically, was kind of the way that I do these pillars, adding a light source, while also adding texture and depth to the wall. As you can see, these stairs kind of get brought in, and then you have the magma bricks there that are providing light. As you can see, normally people might just put the stone bricks where the stone brick walls are, but that the walls add a lot of pronunciation. So, like, you can actually see like the entrance and the archway of this wall, where just I mean, you would be able to see that if you just did regular stone bricks, but it wouldn't look as nice, wouldn't look the same. And after I made those brick walls, I started using them for these pillars. As you can see, I use the magma brick pillars in there. I wanted to set an ambiance for the nether room, but I started using these pillars all around because they just have a lot of texture to make them look a lot like these support pillars. And as you can see, I ended up using glowstone in most of them, but I started using them all over the place as kind of support. Well, there you guys have it. That is my building progression over 1 year of playing Minecraft. Now, not everyone's going to be in the same place where they start, and definitely not going to be the same place after a year, but just something to remember is that you're going to build the skill over time. It's not something that you're going to have to, like, you know, learn immediately. And you can get a lot of inspiration from other people, either from the builds that I showed you today, or really there's a lot of great YouTube content creators that kind of show you how to make builds or give you inspiration for your own. But what's most important is that you're enjoying doing it. Just focus on enjoying building and experiment with things, and it'll come to you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.